Hi, my name's Jiten from Netviewcctv.co.uk. In this guide, I'm going to show you how to do the port forwarding for any Hikvision DVR, NVR, or even an IP camera for any Hikvision product to do port forwarding, so you can access them remotely via an app or a browser when you're outside of your network, you're on holiday, or just using your phone to connect to your CCTV system to view it remotely. So this is a guide to show you how to do the port forwarding on a VirginMedia router. The VirginMedia routers are actually very simple to do the port forwarding, and there's not really much expertise required to do that. And it's not that confusing actually. Initially it sounds confusing, but what you've got to do is imagine ports as doors to your property. Imagine the device is your property. It has an address, so it's like a property, like your house. It's got an address, and when you're on the internet, you've got to be able to locate where that house is. So that's the external IP address. When you're on holiday or outside, roaming around outside your house, you've got to be able to find where to go home. So to find where to go home, or to locate the source of your video CCTV, you need to know the address, and the address is called the IP address. So the external IP address is your property address, imagine, and the internal IP address. There's two addresses. So one's the external, which is, for example, for a postman to locate your property. So that's the external IP address. Then your internal IP address is once you're inside your property, there's various rooms and doors, etc. So you've got to know where the device is inside your property, and the router allocates addresses to all the internal devices. So for example, just think of it as rooms inside your house. So room 1, room 2, room 3. So when something comes in through the door, it's got to know which room to go to. So imagine each door to each room as a port. So that's an easy way of concept to think about it, how it actually works. So port forwarding is basically we opening each door, a door to the device, and we've got to know the location of that door, which is the internal IP address. That's the routers given to each door. So the internal IP addresses always tend to be 192.168 and then a few numbers after that. So it always starts with 192.168. Normally you can actually set them differently if you've done it yourself, but generally tend to be 192.168. External IP addresses can be anything, so sometimes 86, sometimes 96 dot something. It depends on your ISP, who your ISP is, etc. Because they have ranges of addresses given to them to use for their clients. So we're going to do this on a VirginMedia router. So firstly, we need to know a couple of things. We need to know is our external IP address, so we can reach the device from the outside, and the internal IP address of the device itself. So firstly, let's find out what the internal IP address is, the internal door number or the port number of our device. So to do that, we're going to fire up SADP. SADP tool you can download from the Hikvision website, or if you drop me a line, I can send you a link of where to find it. And so I've already got SADP fired up. It's a tool that locates all the devices on your network. So I've fired up SADP tool, and it finds only Hikvision devices, so you can't find anything else. So here's a list of all the devices on my network with the information about them, what the IP address is, what the device is, and from here I can see the NVR I want to connect to, the device, the recorder, is my NVR, which is 7716, and there it is. So that tells me the information. I click on it, I see all the information about it on the right hand side. I don't want to change anything there, so I can untick that. I only need to know the address, and the IPv4 address, that's what you need to look at, is 192.168.0.2. The port this software is using to connect to it is at port 8000. We don't need to know this at the moment, we just need to know what the address is. So this is the internal address. Remember I said 192.168 is an internal address that the router has given to the device. So that's your internal door number. So once you're inside the property, I've got to go to door 192.168.0.2 to actually find my recorder. So once I've got that information, I'm just going to minimize that, and I'm going to fire up my browser, Internet Explorer in this case, and I'm going to log into my router. So Virgin routers IP addresses tend to be 192.168.0.1. So once I type that in, I should get the login page to my Virgin Media Superhub. There we go. So when you first get the screen, if you haven't already set a password or changed the initial default password, make sure you change it. The default password is ChangeMe, CHANGEME, also lowercase. That's a default password for all Virgin Media, and everybody knows this, so make sure you do change that so nobody else can log into your router remotely. So I've changed my password. I'm going to type my new password in. And try and make it as complicated as you can, because you don't want anyone else logging in or finding it. Oops, so that was something was wrong, so I'll type it in again. Oops. Right, there we go. So that's your initial log. So I'm logged in. Once you're logged in, you'll get this screen, and I'm just going to click on advanced settings. Once you get into advanced settings, home, advanced settings, you'll see all these different settings, but we only need to look at, if you scroll down to security and port forwarding, that's what we want to do. We want to port forwarding is basically opening the door so we can access the device. Right, on Hikvision devices, we need to basically open two ports, open two doors into that. To each door, inside the door, there's two different things that are happening. So we need to access the management port to actually manage the unit itself, and the streaming the video port, so the video can be viewed from externally. So two ports to forward is 8000 and 554. So to create that rule, I'm going to add a rule there. Click on add rule, and there's already preset rules inside the Virgin Media router. We don't need to use any of the preset rules there. If you're using anything else, for example gaming or any one of these software applications you're using, so we don't need to use any existing one. We're just going to create our own one. So going to add, and I'm going to call mine CCTV, and the first port I'm going to open is 8000. So I'm going to call it CCTV 8000. Start port is 8000, end port is 8000. Leave the protocol to TCP and UDP. That's a transmission control protocol. It will automatically know what protocol to use to connect. The IP address, remember, is the IP address of the device we found with SADP tool, which is here, which is that's my device I want to access, is 192.168.0.2. So I go back to here and see the IP address is already filled in the first section of the IP address already, because it knows that's an internal IP address we're forwarding. So I'm just going to take out the 0 and add 2. So that's it, IP address of my NVR I want to connect to. They're the ports we've opened, 8000, and I'm going to add that rule there, and it appears in the port forwarding rules. Remember I said we need to do two rules. The second one is, so 8000 is the management port to be able to manage the device, and the second rule is 554. Again, I'm just going to call this one 554. I'm going to edit the start port from 554 to 554 and leave the protocol to both. And then the IP address, we can leave that again to 192.168.0.2 because that was my device IP address. So that's my internal door number, and we're going to apply. Oh, and we're going to apply that. I haven't added the second rule yet. So again, I'm going to have to add that second one. So CCTV 554, 554, 554, and it's IP address 2. I'm going to add, I forgot to add the rule. So first add the rule and then click on apply. Yes, you want to apply. Yes, I do. There you go. So that's applied. To check, we can go home, go back to advanced settings, port forwarding, and there we go. They're both enabled. And we've got, now there is a third port we can also open or forward, which is port 80. So port 80, the purpose of port 80 is for you to log into your device using a web browser, Internet Explorer or Chrome. Chrome, the video doesn't work, so I'd recommend using Internet Explorer or Firefox. It's for use. So port 80 is to use one of them browsers from a remote location outside your property. For example, if you're on holiday and you don't have your phone mobile signal, but you've got there's a computer there, and you want to view your CCTV with a computer, using a computer, and you've just got Internet Explorer or a browser there. So for that purpose, you can actually forward port 80. You don't need port 80 to connect via your mobile app or your iPad or a mobile phone, etc. So I'm going to just call this, for this purpose, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to call this, I'm going to set one up on mine. So port 80, CCTV port 80, start port, again, exactly the same thing. Start port 80, end port 80, because I only want that one port on this occasion. Oops, that should be 0.2 because that's a device. I'm adding the rule, so I'm going to add that rule. There we go, we've got port 80 as well. So that's the name, doesn't really matter what the name is. Port range, we've got 8000 forwarded, 554 forwarded, and 80 forwarded. Forwarded means basically it's open, so we've opened the door. That's all we've done basically. So we can actually peek in and have a look. Imagine that there's 3 doors inside my property, and we've opened all 3 up to my device. So I'm going to apply. Yes, I want to apply. Yes. There we go, and that's saved. So go back home. Now we can actually do a quick check to check whether the ports actually are open and it did work. So just go to Google or any search engine, type in check my ports, and there's quite a few websites that'll try and connect to your device using that port. It's pretty safe because you've got passwords set up on the devices. So there we go. It's found my IP address there already. So firstly I'm going to check port 8000, and I'm going to check my ports. There we go. It's success. So it's telling me I can see your service on my IP address. So again, I'm going to check the second one, 554, and click on check my port. Yeah, success. So my my 554 is open. And thirdly, the last one I set up for the web browser was port 80, and I'm going to check port 80. There we go, success. So port 80, all 3 of my ports are open. So I can close that, and I know my port forwarding is done. So I've opened the doors up to my device. The last thing I need to know is what my external IP address is. So external IP address is, like I explained to you earlier, it's like having your property or your house and locating it from outside. So you, for example, postman tries to deliver a letter, it has to know where to deliver that letter to, or which house to post that letter in. So to enable him to do that, he needs to know the postcode and the number. So our postcode and number is our external IP address, and that's the device address. So to find out the device address, if you just go on to device connection status, and right at the bottom, it will tell you your WAN IP address just there. So your WAN IP address is your external IP address, your external address for anyone coming in from the outside, so it knows where it is on the internet. WAN stands for Wider Area Network. Wider Area Network is your network outside of your own internal network. So that's your front door address. Imagine as your front door address for the postman to find. Your internal addresses, all these 192.168s, are the one that just nothing to do with the outside, but that are all devices inside that the router has allocated internally inside your property. So to get to them, we need to know what this is. Otherwise, we can't access this if we can't even know where the property is. So let's just copy that just to check. And I'm just going to close this browser again. So that's my external IP address. Make a note of that external IP address. I'm going to close SADP. Fire up Internet Explorer again, and now I'm going to type in my external IP address, and this is, remember, it's coming from the internet, so this will be a check to make sure I can access my device externally. This is using a browser because we opened up port 80. If you hadn't opened up port 80, you will not be able to connect to your device using the external IP address. There we go. So that's using my external IP address. So it's actually given me the login page, which actually tells me that I can log into my device, and my ports are working, and my port forwarding is working correctly. And in your applications, that's all you need to do is when you set the devices up, you just need to put your external IP address in, because your device will be connecting from outside of your network, and you just put in the IP address 82.15. Well, that's my IP address, but your IP address you'll be using, and that's it. It's that simple on a VirginMedia router. It's slightly more complicated on some other routers to set up your port forwarding. Basically, you have to set up rules first, and then apply the rules to the device itself to actually open up the port. So you've got to create rules separately. The VirginMedia, it does everything in one. It creates rules and applies them all in one screen. So yeah, well, I hope you found that informative and useful. Please do visit our website, Netviewcctv.co.uk. Lots of information there. Let me just quickly show you. www.netviewcctv.co.uk. Actually, I think .com also goes there as well. There you go. That's our website. We're a Hikvision authorized reseller. We keep everything in stock, and obviously able to give you the very best support and the latest firmwares and information. Recorders, just click on CCTV recorders, or from the top here, CCTV recorders, and you can go to NVRs, DVRs, hybrid systems, etc. CCTV cameras split into Turbo HD, IP cameras, PTZs, etc. Lately, we've just introduced a video door entry, the new Hikvision video door entry range. Very, very interesting. Do have a moment to have a look through that. You see the video door entry intercom system from Hikvision. I have done a couple of videos, and I will be doing some more on how this operates and how you can integrate. The beauty of this is it can integrate into the IVMS software with your NVR or DVR as well, and record as well, and it's great. So that's all on our website, Netviewcctv.co.uk. My name is Jiten, and I hope you found this informative, and watch out for my other videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.